For this next problem, we're going to solve a system of linear equations using matrices. Here we have our system, 6x plus 3y equals 12, and 2x minus y equals negative 2. We're going to begin by writing the augmented matrix for this system. Remember, the augmented matrix consists of the coefficients of the variables augmented with the constant on the right side. So we're going to write 6, 3, and our vertical line that represents our equal signs, 12. Then we have 2, negative 1, negative 2. Now our goal is we want to get 1 on this diagonal here, so 1 there and a 1 here, and a 0 in the lower triangle area. So we're going to first start by letting row 1, our new row 1, equal 1/6 times our current row 1. That'll get us a 1 up here. So if I take 1/6 times 6, I get 1. 3 times 1/6 is 1/2. And 12 times 1/6 is 2. I haven't changed my second row, so I'm just going to rewrite that. Now that I have a 1 in the 1, 1 entry here on the diagonal, I'd like to get a 0 underneath it. To do that, I'll let my new row 2 equal negative 2 times row 1 plus row 2. I'm not changing my first row, so I get 1, 1/2, and positive 2. Now to get my second row, I need to perform this operation. Negative 2 times 1 is negative 2, plus 2 is 0. Negative 2 times 1/2 is negative 1. Negative 1 plus negative 1 is negative 2. Negative 2 times 2 is negative 4, plus negative 2 is negative 6. The last thing I'd like to do is get a 1 on the diagonal in the 2, 2 entry, so right here. To do that, I'm going to let row 2 equal a negative 1/2 times my current row 2. I'm not changing my first row, so I'll rewrite that. 1, 1/2, 2. And then negative 1/2 times 0 is still 0. Negative 1/2 times negative 2 is 1. And negative 1/2 times negative 6 is positive 3. At this point, we need to remember that this matrix really represents a system of equations. So we have the corresponding system of equations, x plus 1/2 y equals 2. That's our first row. And then the second equation is that y is equal to 3. Notice that we now know what y is equal to. This last row tells us y equals 3. Since we know y is equal to 3, we can substitute that back into this equation to find x. X plus 1/2 times 3 equals 2. So x plus 3/2 equals 2. We're going to subtract 3/2 from both sides. We'll get that x is equal to 1/2. Since x is equal to 1/2 and y equals 3, our ordered pair solution is 1/2, 3. And you should check into the original system to make sure that this is a solution. We can check that pretty quick here. 6 times 1/2 is 3. 3 times 3 is 9. 3 plus 9 is 12, so that checks. 2 times 1/2 is 1. 1 minus 3 is negative 2, so that checks.